Huntsville, broadcasting live from the Wiesner Huntsville studios. We are your hometown radio station, playing today's best country and all your favorites. 101.7 KSAM.
It's the Huntsville Hornets Coaches Show with head coach Rodney Southern, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Now, here's Carlos Zimmerman and Brian Adams.
Hello, Chick-fil-A. How we doing tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Hornet Nation Coaches Show, presented by Diana K. Barnes State Farm Insurance. I am your man, Carlos Zimmerman, alongside my other man, Brian Adams. And with us tonight, as always, to open up the show is the head coach of the Huntsville Hornets, Rodney Southern. Y'all give him a great big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Coach, thank you always for joining us here this evening, and coming off of a tough loss to Belton, as always. We'll just get an opening statement from you before we get this ball rolling.
Well, it was obviously a disappointing night for us in all phases. Didn't think we played really well. You're going to have a game some point during your season where things are not going to go your way. You just hope, in our case, you hope it happens in a non-district setting, which it happened to us the other night. I don't think in any phase of the game that we were as sharp as we needed to be. And I tell the kids all the time, if that happens, that's my fault. So, we've got to fix that, and hopefully we fixed those things, and, we'll bounce back. We still got one non-district game, which is probably going to be the toughest one we've seen to this point. So, disappointing when you don't play well and things don't go your way, but at the same time, you can look on film and find some bright spots and find some things that you can continue to improve on before we roll into district.
Coach, what are some of the I know you're obviously disappointed. We were disappointed. But you just mentioned it, some of the positives of that game in Belton. Can you kind of expound on that a little bit and maybe kind of point out a couple, two or three?
Well, I thought the number one thing, with an inexperienced team, you don't want your kids to ever quit or the game to be out of reach. And even, probably the most disappointing part of the game was giving up an opening kickoff for return for a touchdown, which, there are a lot of factors that go into that when that happens. Giving that up, we were down 3 scores at that point, but I thought our kids fought back and, again, we got the game to 13 and had opportunities. The early penalties and then not converting some things. And then, Belton did what I thought people would do to us, is line up with as big an offensive line as you can get. They put an extra lineman in the game for probably 60 of their run plays and, decided that we're going to come downhill right at you. And, I thought we continued to fight. We continued to do the things that you want to see an inexperienced team do. But at the same time, you got to make some plays in some critical situations, and I didn't think we made enough of those, obviously, and it cost us a ball game.
Coach, expanding a bit more on that defensive side of the ball for you guys. I mean, Tiger offense came out there firing a sophomore running back for them. That was rather impressive in that ball game for Belton. What could have y'all just done defensively to try and combat all of that?
Well, I thought we played on – first of all, we played on a short field, 3 of the touchdowns, the 24-yard line, the 28-yard line, and the 36-yard line. And if you do that against a good team, you do that against an average team, you're going to give up some points. I thought we tackled well in spurts, and then I thought late in the third, early in the fourth, I thought we gave up too many, those 6- and 8-yard runs. A lot of the runs that we had against Bryan, where your running back gets 6 and then falls forward for 2 more. And, before you know it, you look up and you've given up, 180, 200 yards rushing when that happens. So, and the other factors, when you give up big plays or explosive plays, it changes a game so fast. And we gave up some big plays that hurt us in a momentum situation. We gave up a 3rd and 18. And, defensively, you can't give up those kind of things and be able to sustain what you've got to sustain in a game.
Coach, and on the offensive side of the ball, the line didn't hold up as much as you would have liked it to. Talk to us a little bit about that and how you look to correct that in the future.
Well, I thought early in the game the penalties hurt us. You know, we put ourselves in some 1st and 15s, some 2nd and 20s, and that's tough on a young quarterback. That's tough on a young group of inexperienced guys. But then your O-line's got to step up and make some plays at that point. And people say, well, how does your O-line make plays? Well, you know, you got to protect your quarterback, or you got to create running lanes if we're running the football. And you know, and back to what I said at the beginning, you know, every year, and I think this past weekend in college football and pro football, I think was a perfect example. There's going to be a game where things are not going to go your way, and how well do you respond to some of the negative things that happen? And I thought we responded. We just didn't respond well enough, and I think that dictates kind of how the flow of a game happens. And then all of a sudden you look up and you're a couple scores down, so you lose part of what you got to do offensively because you're trying to throw the ball now, and they know you're trying to throw the ball, so it makes it easier defensively for them.
Coach, I know it affected us on the broadcast side, but the 2.5-hour drive out there, do you think that played a factor as well for your boys?
Well, I told them, you know, at the beginning of the week, you know, I hope that we're week 10 or week 11 in the playoffs and we've got to ride from here to Texas Stadium or to whatever situation it is. Now, you know, 2 or 3 hours on a bus, yeah, it makes a difference. But at the same time, you know, we're going to have a trip either like that or another trip similar to that this week, you know, because it's a shorter distance, but you're dealing with traffic. You're dealing with a lot of stuff that's out of our control, and that's difficult. But, you know, I'll never say it's travel or any of that because that comes off as an excuse, and I'm not ever going to make excuses. You know, we played a game Friday night, and they were better than us Friday night. We'll be better next week, and we'll correct the mistakes we made, but I'm never going to give us an excuse. We got beat Friday.
Coach, with the third game under your belt, your offense under the direction of Austin Taylor in the dual threat backfield with Lee and Winfrey, what have you and your coaching staff been impressed the most with your young backfield in the offense?
Well, probably consistency. I thought even, you know, in a bad situation the other night, we still were able to get some consistency moving the ball. We've got to be able to expand every week on what we want to do. And I think the other night we were at a point where we were a little bit limited, not necessarily from a play calling standpoint, but, you know, when you're down a couple scores, you got to think a little different. But the biggest thing for me still for all of these guys that, you know, and I've told them I'm not going to use the word young in public anymore because they're not young anymore. They got 3 varsity starts. So we've got to be better in terms of execution, and that's all 11 guys. That's not just, you know, the burden of one guy either offensively or defensively. So, you know, it's no different than that kickoff return. You know, I could say, well, is that the kicker's fault? Is that the, you know, whatever guy? Well, no, it's all 11 of us and me as a coach. So we're not ever going to look at it that way. You know, we've got to be more consistent in what we're doing, and I think our kids will respond.
And, Coach, on the defensive side of the ball, defensive line, we talked about it last week. They were the portion of the defense that didn't quite have that breakout game yet, but they were able to get some pressure on the Belton offense. What did you like about them in particular last week?
Well, I think the same thing is what we were offensively. It was good in times and it was not good in times. So it wasn't consistent enough because you've got to be able to get pressure on the quarterback. If we allow a quarterback 2.5 to 3 seconds, that's tough on a DB. I don't care how good he is. So when you allow those things, and you can't blame that all on the D-line. You know, I thought when we brought pressure, you know, Braylon Phelps had a big hit on the quarterback. We brought some inside pressure at times, and we got pressure on the quarterback. But we didn't get that consistently enough for 4 quarters. And when you don't do that, people are going to make plays on you, especially teams that are – you know, and we purposely scheduled the schedule we did to prepare our teams this year and next year for, you know, for a district race that's obviously a lot more important than your non-district games. And it's hard to say that because your non-district games are obviously important, but there's a purpose in the schedule and a purpose in the teams that you play to try to get your team ready. because we're going to see speed somewhere in our district. We're going to see a big old line somewhere in our district. So, hopefully after this coming week, our kids are going to be prepared for whatever's thrown at them in our district season.
Coach, before we move on to our next segment, final takeaways from Belton.
Well, I think, anytime you lose, you always go back and look and say, okay, what could we have done different? What could we have done better? And I always go back to consistency and execution. If we're consistent, and that's coaches, players, trainers, filmers, everybody, if we're consistent at what we're doing and then the execution continues to get better, then, good things are going to happen. And, and I told the guys and I told our coaching staff Saturday morning when we got back in and met, I said, we have to prepare, and we discussed this before the season and we discussed it again the other night. We have to prepare for 4 district games, and we got to prepare what if we're 4-0? What if we're 3-1? What if we're 1-2? What if we're 2-2? What if we're 0-4? And, to try to be able to pick little things from each game, when you line up week 1 and you throw it 51 times, you line up week 2 and run it 59 times, and then the other night we mix it, but we're not consistent on either of those. I don't think we threw it well enough, and we obviously didn't run it well enough. But you've got to be able to take those things, and we've got to take all that into this week against a team that I feel like just on film and what they faced. They played Katy week 1. They played Shadow Creek week 2. They lost both of those games, but it's obvious big 6A schools and big 6A teams have a little bit of an advantage from sheer numbers. So all of those factors go into this week, because once this Friday night's over, the slate goes back, whatever the record is, it goes back to 0-0, and then you've got to refocus again. We've got to deal with grades. There's a lot of other factors that go into getting kids prepped for a Friday night. And I thought our kids bounced back. We've had a good week of practice, and I think they're going to play well Friday night.
Folks, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will take a deep dive into this matchup with Clear Springs, the final non-district game. So stick around, folks. We're having a good time. If you're just joining us, we're just getting started here on the Hornet Nation Coaches Show. Live here tonight from Chick-fil-A, presented by Diana K. Barnes State Farm Insurance. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
Did you know there's a place where you can get good neighbor service and surprisingly great rates on home and auto insurance? Yep, and that place is, ta-da, State Farm. Here's the deal. State Farm agent Diana K. Barnes is your go-to agent in Walker County for the service you deserve at the price you want. So stop shopping around. State Farm agent Diana K. Barnes has you covered. Call 936-295-2686 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Are you stuck at home? Why not be comfortable with the new True Comfort series by McGillberry Mechanical? With intelligent Wi-Fi control, 700 speeds of comfort, and 12 years, no repair cost, you can rest easy. With our True Comfort series, your air will be cleaner and you will be more comfortable than ever. Call us today to learn about our 12-year peace of mind, no repair cost. 936-291-2640.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here live tonight from Chick-fil-A in Huntsville. How are we doing tonight, folks?
That's a happy crowd out there.
Yeah, it's a happy crowd. Got a good mix of players and parents alike. I see JT back there. What's going on, man? If y'all are doing well tonight as we cook things along. He's not paying attention to me again.
I was paying attention.
Oh, boy, we're having a good time here. So welcome back here as we now look ahead to the matchup with Clear Springs. Coach, you alluded to it. They had really 3 great opponents that they went up against for the first 3 games. A 49-16 loss to the Katy Tigers, perennial powerhouses in 6A. Shadow Creek's another one, 37-26. And then they had a come-from-behind win against Klein Forest last week. So 1-2, just like you guys. But have they just really had that tough opening schedule, or have they not played up to their expectations from what you've seen?
Well, I think on film, just, when Coach Renfro and I decided, way back in February that, and it was one of those games that we had our 3 set, and then our district realignment kind of messed us up, and we were looking for a game. And when you're looking, you want to play an opponent, especially prior to the district season starting. I wanted to play somebody that, number one, was going to challenge us. Number two was going to be a program that would be consistent year in and year out. If we play them, obviously we're going to play them twice, but if we continue to do that, and a team that's also going to give us sub-varsity games, 2 freshman games, and a JV game. We've had in the past where we've scheduled Houston ISD or other teams and end up losing games or not having games. So, but, when you watch these guys on film, I think they're a typical multi-school district 6A school. They've got a good mix. I was kind of surprised when I looked at their roster and started watching them on film. They're only dressing 56 guys, which to me, a big 6A normally will dress 70 to 75 guys. They're dressing 32 seniors. They're dressing 20 juniors. They've only got 3 sophomores, and they're actually dressing and playing a freshman defensive lineman who's a pretty good player. So, but they are offensively, defensively, special teams. They are very well coached. I told our guys, I said, they're going to be in the right spot. We've either got to block them or tackle them, whichever situation it is. But when you look at their non-district schedule, Shadow Creek, the brief history of that school, they're extremely talented, extremely fast, and Katy goes without saying, what they've been for years. I thought their most impressive game was this past week. They were actually down to Klein Forest at one point 17-0, and came back and won the game 24-17. So they've got 3 or 4 key guys. They've got a DN and an outside linebacker that are really good football players. I don't think their quarterback gets enough credit because he's got the ball distributed so much. Their running back, I think, is faster than people think he is. That gets lost on film because of who they're playing. They've been very consistent. They're very well coached. But, I also look at them and say, okay, that's Brenham and Montgomery for us. So the prep is going to be very similar in those 3 ball games. And I think they're physically they're healthy. Looking at their roster and the guys that played against Klein Forest, everybody that was on the roster was there. So, it's going to be a heck of a challenge, and we've obviously got to go on another 2-hour bus ride, but we're going to get to play in a beautiful stadium. And, again, another prep for next week and opening our district season.
Coach, I want to reiterate for someone who may be tuning in for the first time, what really factored into you scheduling these, 4 tough opponents leading up to your district play?
Well, when you go into realignment, the number one problem you run into, realignment, the prior 2 years we were 12-2, 9-4, 11-1. So, the 5A teams around the area other than A&M Consolidated, they wouldn't play us. And I always try to go in with 3 non-district games scheduled, knowing that you hope you're in an 8-team district because it makes your open date and all of your alignment stuff line up. I had A&M schedule. We had Bryan's schedule. We actually had College Station and Dayton initially scheduled. Well, Dayton and College Station go into a 9-team district, so we lose both of those games. So I'm standing at a realignment at that point, needing 2 ball games. So that's how the Belton game came about. And then I was at the very end. One of our coaches was in Austin trying to find a game. So sometimes you end up in a situation where it may not be the ideal game, but I was also looking for an opponent that, number one, would be able to provide everything we need to provide. I didn't want to be in a situation where our kids didn't get an opportunity to play. They're going to have a big JV. They're going to have 2 freshman teams. So it's a good ball game for us. It's a great stadium. It's a stadium that hopefully when we make it to the playoffs, those are the kind of stadiums you want to play in. So there's lots of positives to how you get to that point. Now, obviously the Belton deal was a little different deal. Did I really want to do that? No, because, going back to places where you've been, that's why once that game was over, I didn't talk a whole lot about it because, I was there, but the guys that were there were in third grade when I was there. So, nobody cares if I was there or not. So, but that's kind of how realignment goes about. Sometimes you get situations that you don't like, but when you don't have local people that you can play, I don't like driving 3 hours to play a game either. But at the same time, you want to have opportunities for your kids. We've got to travel at some point, so we're going to have 2 of those under our belt before we start district.
You were talking a little bit ago about them only dressing, what'd you say, 53, 54?
56.
56. That was my next one. I was getting there. But I find it fascinating because you said they have a defensive lineman who's a freshman, and it just it seems like that's such a really big school that they're having to dig that deep into their.
Well, I think some of that goes with, this kid can play.
Yeah.
And I think you look at, we're going to dress 10 sophomores Friday night, but all 10 of them are going to play at some point. So, my philosophy's always been if you bring a freshman or a sophomore to the varsity, they got to be good enough to play. Don't bring them up there and let them stand.
Right.
If we have a choice, if a guy's borderline, I would rather him play JV because he's going to get to play because there's nothing, like we've said for 3 weeks, there's nothing that I can do or we can do as a coaching staff to give guys experience without them being in a game and getting experienced. It's that old saying, sometimes you got to be in a game and get your nose bloodied so you know what that feels like. You heard all the NFL guys this week that didn't play in the preseason. Well, I need to go get hit. And there's a lot of truth to that. But at the same time, I want our guys, just like our freshmen, we really don't have enough right now to split to 2 teams, but we do it because I want every one of those guys to play.
Yeah. You talked a little while ago before the coaches show, a great week of practice. Weather was good, this and that. So how was practice? If you can let our audience know how the practice went in your preparation for your last final non-district game.
Well, the big thing this past Friday night, we didn't get back home till 1:15, 1:20 in the morning, and then we've got to still wash and do all the stuff. I think I got in bed at 10 minutes till 3. So we didn't bring the kids Saturday, which is normally a little bit of a mobility day, and obviously watching film from the previous night because you want to be able to take the previous game. If you win, you want to celebrate it and watch it. If you lose, you want to watch it and learn from it, and then you want to put it to bed and move on. So we didn't have the opportunity to do that because it wouldn't have been productive. So we had a good Monday, and then yesterday, Tuesdays is our big work day. We go out in the morning during our athletic period and in the afternoon, and it was, that 62, 63 degrees that hadn't been around in a while, felt really good. So, you start to get that transition into the change into the fall, which is always good. They kind of bouncing around because they're a little bit cool in the morning. So, but we had a good Tuesday afternoon, and then, of course, we had a junior high game at the stadium after that. And, I think we're in a routine now, and that's the good and the bad of our schedule because now we're going to have this game and 4 district games before we get an open date. But our open date, was kind of out of our control because of an odd team district.
Coach, over the last couple of weeks, we've really highlighted specific players on the offensive side of the ball. Of course, sophomore quarterback Austin Taylor, and then your dual threat running backs in Winfrey and Lee over the last couple of weeks. I want to talk about your receivers a bit because I know they didn't get a whole lot of action Friday night against Belton. Savion Conte, who had a great game against A&M Consolidated. Matthew Tatum starting to come into his own, and then, the auxiliary players, Tajon Lewis, Peyton Pryor, and young sophomore McCork Norman. He stepped up big Friday night as well. Just how impressive have they been, and what are you going to be needing out of them Friday against Clear Springs?
Well, the biggest thing with all those guys is, and we don't joke about it, but I kind of smile sometimes, standing and watching like today, watching our 7-on-7 when it's our offense has priority. There's one senior. Matthew Tatum's the only senior out there. So, looking at that, you want to see, especially sophomore guys, you want to see them play with a little bit more confidence. The experience will come. You want to see a little bit of confidence, and you want to see them when the ball's thrown to me, I've got to catch the ball. And that sounds very simple, but, you know, they have a guy coming down there trying to knock their head off at the same time. So I think all of those guys, DeMarcus, who's our backup quarterback but also plays at receiver, you know, all of those guys are going to be so much better as we continue to improve every week and obviously get into a district schedule where you're playing guys that are the same size as you. But they still have to be consistent. And when you're inexperienced, the speed of the game, it's that saying, you know, there's a non-district speed, there's a 5A speed, there's a 6A speed, and that's very true. And it's hard to judge that on film, but I think all these young guys are, like I told them, I said, I'm not going to call you young anymore because you got experience. You got to run down on kickoff. You got to do the things that we've got to do to be successful, not just this game, but obviously through a 7-game district schedule, or a 6-game district schedule, I'm sorry.
And then, Coach, focusing on the defensive side of the ball, I want to talk about your secondary for a moment. You know, Isaiah Collins has stood out big in ball games. Jacob Ruffin and Cole Schroeder, they've been great as safeties in the deep secondary, especially against Bryan, and then they made some plays against Belton. But, you know, as every team does, you have your down moments as well in deep in the secondary. I mean, what needs to be done to, you know, help clean that up and get ready for this ball game?
Well, the biggest thing, anytime to me, it's no different than receivers. If your offensive line doesn't protect your quarterback, your receivers are not going to be as good. If our defensive line and our linebackers, if we are sending pressure, if we don't get pressure on the quarterback, it makes it tough on your DBs. You know, and same thing with our DBs. You look back there, and everybody we got will be back again a year from now. And some of them are going to have 2 years. So, you know, that experience that they're getting, and sometimes as a DB, a little bit like an O-lineman. If an O-lineman gets beat off the edge and your quarterback gets sacked, everybody knows who it was. Or if an O-lineman jumps off sides, everybody in the stadium sees who it was. If you get beat deep in the secondary, it's difficult for you to get a place to hide, for lack of a better word. But I don't know that our guys have really – that hasn't bothered them. They take coaching, which is the number one thing, especially when you're inexperienced. So – you know, but that unit works well when that front unit is working well. And when those two things don't work well together, normally bad things happen.
You know, Coach, Carlos and I were talking, and, you know, you think about football as kind of like, I don't know, 3 aspects: offense, defense, special teams. Special teams doesn't really get a whole lot of recognition or look or anything else until something goes good or bad. What have you done? What are your coaches going to do, special team-wise, to maybe try to eliminate some of those big returns, some of those things?
Well, if you look at the return, there was multiple mistakes, and one of them was me. You know, when I saw where the ball was aimed, you know, I should have probably called timeout. I hated to waste a timeout at that point because you shouldn't have to call timeout coming out of a halftime, but. You know, when you have a breakdown, if one guy breaks down on kickoff, it makes the guy on either side of him bad because you're going to have a crease somewhere. And then we ask our kickers, and we're going to continue to do it, we're going to ask our kickers to kick the ball to a spot. And that's difficult, more difficult than obviously people think. And obviously kicking is becoming so critical. You look at the NFL, there was, I think, 13 missed field goals or extra points that cost teams ball games. So, you know, you just keep working on the things that you know that you are good at. And, you know, we've been good in those phases. Now, were we good the other night? No, we weren't. And that was all of us. So, you know, obviously we watched it all on film. We've corrected all the things that we know we've got to correct. But you also got to go in. Our special teams game plan will be different than what it was last week because of what we're going to face.
Coach, before we let you go, keys to a win, to improve to 2-2 entering your district play.
Well, number one, we've got to be more consistent in all 3 phases of the game, and that sounds very simple, but that's extremely, extremely difficult because you're lining up now against a different team, different situation, different circumstances, little different philosophy defensively. hopefully that part will be to our advantage because we've had success against a front similar to this. So we got to be there. Defensively, we can't give up the big plays. We got it 3rd and 18, you got to make them punt. If the ball is on the minus end of the field, we've got to hold them there and force the ball to be punted back to us. And special teams, we haven't scored like we need to score. We missed an extra point the other night. Obviously, the kickoff return was not good. So, there are always things we can improve there, but we've got to score points in the kicking game. And I think if we do those 3 things, obviously we've got a really good chance to win the game. And I want to see execution from coaches, players, everybody get a little bit better because we know after Friday night we wipe the slate clean, and the next one is vital because it's the first district game.
Well, you heard it from the man himself. Going to be a good ball game on Friday night against Clear Springs. Y'all give head coach Rodney Southern a round of applause. And, folks, when we come back, we will transition to our player segments. Last week I switched it up, but we'll go back to normal this week. I don't know if J-Bug's going to be fine with that, but he is coming up first. Running back Jeremiah Winfrey will join us here in a few moments right here on the Hornet Nation Coaches Show. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
Do you have a trench to dig, some rock to move, or some property to clean up? Stop by today at Lone Star Outdoor Power Equipment for all your rental needs. We've got quality equipment that is rental ready for you to pick up. Need delivery? No problem. We have trucks and trailers ready to go. Call us today for all your projects, big or small. We can cover them all. Lone Star Outdoor Power is ready to rent to you.
Lone Star Outdoor Power Equipment in Huntsville. Check them out online at LoneStarOutdoorPower.com.
As we enter a season of celebrations of spending time with our family and friends, the best celebrations are usually planned. Someone has to put some thought into making the event the best it can be. I'm Greg Smith, owner of Huntsville and Walker County's premier funeral home, Sam Houston Memorial. Whatever the celebration, it's always best to be prepared. We're here to help you plan your life celebration without burdening your family with tough decisions. A gift from you to them. Allow our family to serve yours. Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home.
All right. Chick-fil-A in Huntsville, how we doing tonight here on the Hornet Nation Coaches Show? What is up?
Chick-fil-A.
Big thank you to the folks there in the back. They've been working very hard all day long, obviously, as they always do, and then even help us get on the air here tonight. Everything was set up, ready for us to go tonight, and I'm so excited to be here tonight in Chick-fil-A. All right. Time to move on to one of my favorite parts, getting to chat with the players themselves. And with us is junior running back. Am I correct on that? All right, yes, good deal. Jeremiah Winfrey. Y'all give him a round of applause. J-Bug, they call you. Is that right?
J-Bug.
J-Bug. Man, let me ask you. So I was on the sideline last year doing games before moving up into the booth, and I got to see your brother play, Nemo. Really a football family for you guys, And what was it like, just, growing up in that atmosphere, just football all the time?
I feel like I always been the best one.
That's a good answer.
I wonder if Nemo's
Nemo's upset right now, but that's all right.
I mean, taking away from that, what have you really learned from your brother just to be able to help you along in your career?
I learned from my other brother, TJ.
Okay. Well, what did you learn from him?
He taught me how to run routes and play corner.
Oh, you play a little corner as well? Or you've played a little corner?
Yeah, I played receiver at first.
Okay.
I just came to running back this
Gotcha.
year.
What have you liked about that change? I know it's a bit of a shift.
You get the ball more, less blocking.
Less blocking.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I understand that fully well. Let's look back to Friday. You and Kieran, you guys been handling the duties in the absence of Jawan. I mean, how has it been like just going out there every snap? You go against some tough programs like Bryan, Consolidated, and then Belton last Friday. What was it like out there for you guys?
At first, it was kind of hard, looking at the hole and stuff. But now it's easy, though. I know what hole to hit and take off running. You gotta try to catch me.
That's you gotta
try to catch me.
That's right. J-Bug, in the running back room, what do you guys really just talk about every week to help you guys prepare for the ball game, help build y'all's chemistry together?
We talk about how you're supposed to take the handoff and keep your eyes up and get a first down and try to score.
There you go. See, this kid's ahead of the game already. I mean, you already know what you got to do. I mean, what's the chemistry been like, just outside of, the running backs as well? Just, working with a different quarterback, obviously. I mean, were you on varsity last year, if I'm not mistaken?
No, sir. I was on JV.
Gotcha. So you didn't get to work with AJ. So this is a completely different experience for you. I mean, what has it been like building chemistry with Austin and then even with the receivers as well?
Last year with Austin, I played receiver.
That's right.
He gave me the ball almost every play.
Smart by Austin.
See, Kim, smart guy. Brian, you got anything for him?
Yeah, well, looking ahead to Friday night, and I know you guys have been practicing, had really good practice this week, according to your head coach, Rodney Southern. On film, what do you expect to see out of your team that you're going to face Friday night?
They got a DN. He like number 9 or something. He big, but he's slow. He not catching me.
He's not going. That's good. He better not catch you.
No,
we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it.
I don't think nobody can catch me.
There you go. I like the attitude. What have you been working on in practice this week just to help you get better? I know it's easy to say it was like, just running better routes and then running through the holes. I mean, what have you been working on just to get better?
I've been working on my patience with the ball, putting the ball in my left hand.
You got a thumbs up from your head coach, so that's a great answer.
Coach. Let me ask you this. I know that this should be a straightforward answer, but do you like running it more up the gut into the pile, and that way you can bust out through and just show your power, or do you like running it around the outside and just letting your speed do the talking?
I like running up the middle because, I'm small, I can squeeze through the holes that Jawan them can't hit. They too big.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
Folks, if you're just joining us, we're here with running back Jeremiah Winfrey here on the Hornet Nation Coaches Show. J-Bug, I want you to kind of take me through your week. What is it like for you just from Saturday after the Friday game all the way up to the next one? What's your week look like?
Like Saturday, I went to my little brother football game.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sunday, I went to church. Then I was sleepy.
Good man.
Like Monday, we got to be at the field at 7:15. Well, we had weights. I'd be tired.
Who set that schedule?
The headband? He had his head down. And then really just what I mean, is there anything else? Is it just like, sleep, eat, hit someone, go back to sleep kind of day?
Like sleep, school, football, shower, and go back to sleep.
Back to sleep.
Do it and repeat.
Yeah, repeat.
And repeat. Now, I want to ask you this. I was hesitant to think about when I was thinking about this, but what kind of running back best describes your play? I don't know if are you a big fan of the NFL? Good man. Do you feel like you're more of a Marshawn Lynch type, no nonsense kind of runner, or are you more like a free spirit at running back, like a Barry Sanders or AP, or are you just J-Bug?
I feel like Tyreek Hill. Nobody can catch me.
We didn't have that one on the sheet, did we?
No, we did not. But I know what he means. Let me ask you this: Who's your biggest inspiration on and off the field? Who really inspires you to go out there and be your best?
My brother TJ and Justin Butcher.
Justin Butcher? Yeah. Not Nemo?
Nah, he played corner.
It's fair enough. You got any pregame routines? Loud music, a certain meal that you got to eat before every game.
I listen to music. I eat candy, and I take my inhaler.
Hey, candy and inhaler, man. That's you're good to go, aren't you?
Yeah, you're good to go at that point. What do you do for fun outside of football?
I play basketball, run track.
You a distance runner, or are you more of a sprinter?
Like all the relays.
All the relays. Okay. Brian, anything else for him?
If you had any position out there on the football field you could play, which would it be and why?
If you say kicker, I swear.
Yeah, the kicker's used up. That one's gone.
I'll go back to receiver.
Go back to receiver.
Go be wide out.
I like running go routes.
You like that? You like that big play, don't you?
They can't keep up.
That's that Tyreek Hill coming out in you, isn't
it? Do you have I'm just asking in general, favorite food to eat?
I like candy.
Candy? What kind?
Skittles.
Sour? Regular?
Regular.
Attaboy. Favorite type of music?
Favorite type of music?
That's a tough one.
Ooh. I don't even know.
Just any kind?
We listen to everything in the weight room.
Just about everything?
Everything.
All right. I like it. All right. Now, this has been the most scrutinized question that we ask at our show here. What do you like most about school?
School. Well, I be chilling.
Just chilling?
Yes, sir. I just
So does that mean you like every class, or do you just?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
What's your favorite class?
Favorite class? Culinary.
Culinary?
Culinary arts. Nice. Very cool.
See, I didn't get to have that in school, so that's cool. Plans for after high school in your career that'll follow after?
Play football and run track in college.
Okay. Dream school?
Ooh. Texas.
Texas?
T.
You saw the hit that T-Sweat landed on Bryce Young earlier this week.
Yeah, one of your former Hornets plays for them, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, J-Bug, before we let you go, and we'll hand it off to the next player that'll join us, linebacker Justin Angstad. Do you have anybody you want to give a shout-out to?
All right. Braylon, Savion, my mom, third, Jacob, JT, the rest of my teammates, and my cousins.
All right, good
Leah,
stuff.
Najee, Kay, and Kiana.
But not Nemo.
Oh, not Nemo. he sucked. Oh, and my brother TJ, too.
All right, and your brother TJ. Yeah. All right, y'all give him a round of applause. Jeremiah Winfrey joining us tonight. Running back. Thanks for coming on, man. All right, we'll move on to our next player, linebacker Justin Angstad. Coming up in a few moments. Man, hey, J-Buck set the bar high for you, buddy, so we're going to have to get going here. We'll be back in a few moments on the Hornet Nation Coaches Show live tonight in Chick-fil-A.
You might know that State Farm agent Diana K. Barnes has great service. She has been your good neighbor agent for 35 years after all. But did you know that State Farm has surprisingly great rates too? Yep, that's right. Along with good neighbor service, State Farm agent Diana K. Barnes has surprisingly great rates for everyone in Walker County. So call State Farm agent Diana K. Barnes at 936-295-2686 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Dreaming of a new 2023 Ford F-150? Then head to Bill Fick Ford in Huntsville and we'll make that dream come true. Whether it's strictly for work or something with a little more style, you'll never miss out on a good deal here at Bill Fick Ford. Right now, Ford is taking special orders on all new 2023 Ford F-150s. So give us a shout and we'll help you build the truck of your dreams. And you'll still get a no-bull deal. Stop in today or check us out online at BillFickFordHuntsville.com.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Hornet Nation Coaches Show. How are we doing? We doing good?
Oh, it's a good crowd.
See some good folks in the house tonight. Our friends at K-Sam, Tim Johnson, our general manager, Brian Reeder's hiding back there with his headphones on. Our operations manager, thanks for coming out tonight, guys. All right, let's move right along to our next player. It is linebacker, senior linebacker, the Mike linebacker. I'm still trying to understand those linebacker positions. Those weren't what it was when I was growing up. But either way, here, it's Justin Angstad. Give him a round of applause. Justin, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good.
Doing good? How did practice go today? Go well?
It felt good today.
Felt very good. Good stuff. I mean, what's it been like for you so far this year? It's your senior year. It's got to be very exciting. What's it been like for you out there personally?
So the first game, I was a little bit nervous, but after that, I just kind of settled in and been rolling pretty good.
Just right in your groove.
Yes, sir.
That's good stuff. You know, you're stepping into that senior leadership role in the defense. You know, you're flanked by two sophomore linebackers, Braylon Phelps and Shiloh Jones, very great in their own right so far this season. I mean, what's it been like, you know, being that leader of the linebacker crew going through the season so far?
It's been nice. You know, I have to watch a lot of film and memorize what checks we have to make, and so make sure everyone gets lined up correctly. It's, you know, pretty difficult sometimes, but as long as you study throughout the week, it's easy.
That's good. That's good. Now, you've had a couple of breakout games this season from what I'm watching. The game against Brian, I think you had me and Brian going absolutely nuts in the press box at Power Stadium. You put big pressure on the quarterback for Brian, forced an interception, and then you had a big game against Belton as well. What's been really helping you drive you to be the best that you can be every week?
Well, first of all, I don't want to mess up when I go out there, so that's the main thing. But then, you know, also I just want to do good and help the team win.
Brian?
So looking back at Belton last week, what did you like about your play? What do you think you need to improve on? Kind of help us get an idea of that.
So I think we tackled for the most part well, and then there was a couple plays where maybe we were out of position, but nothing that we can't fix. So I think we'll be pretty good shape for the next game.
Well, before we ask you this next question, I want these nice folks out here in the audience and the people that are listening to really know a little bit more about you. I'm fortunate enough to I've known you for a long time and watch you grow up, and just it's been an amazing experience for me to see how good and progressed and things like that you've done. But this guy right here has never had anything less than an A on his report card throughout high school. Absolutely, 100%. And on top of that, he is ranked number 3 in his senior class. That's your Mike linebacker right there. Congratulations, man.
Thank
Outstanding.
you.
Absolutely. Looking back at Belton, would you have done anything differently? Just try and change the trajectory of the ball game?
Ooh. Well, I would say it probably would have been a little tougher on everyone to make sure that maybe some of those mistakes that we had didn't happen, but can't really go back now. Just got to make sure the next game that everyone is set, knows what to do, and move on.
So that's the right attitude to have right there. Just once Saturday hits, you move right along, get ready for the next game, which is Clear Springs this week. What's the conversations you guys have in the linebacker core? I mean, you got yourself, you have Shiloh, you have Braylon, and then you have Trayvon Johnson and Tyler as well. What really helps you guys just gel together, if that makes any sense, to prepare for every game?
Well, we know that reading our keys is a big thing, and we want to hit pretty hard, tackle, get off blocks, that sort of thing.
Now, let me ask you, because I played a little linebacker in high school, and the toughest part for me personally was just being able to not bite on those runs if it's a fake or something like that. What's really the toughest part for you as a linebacker, just having to balance, is there a receiver coming off to my right or left, or if they're just coming at me up the middle, being able to read that? What's the toughest part?
The toughest part is, we read the offensive line every play to see if it's run or pass, but sometimes they run play action, and they'll have a good disguise in the backfield, and that can be pretty tough to read a mesh point and make sure you're not getting fooled, biting on the run too early.
And then, Justin, looking ahead to Clear Springs, what have you really seen on film so far that's stuck out to you that you're going to have to battle up against on Friday?
They have a really good receiver, number 0. He's going to be pretty fast. They like to get him the ball, and then their running back's also pretty good. They have a big O-line, but what they run's pretty simple, so it shouldn't be that difficult to see what they do.
All right, now I want to just take me through your week every week, and I know obviously maybe a bit different from J-Bug, but what do you go through once you get off the bus Friday night and then into the next game the next week? What's your week look like?
So normally on Saturdays we would go watch film, and then Monday morning 7:15 weights, and then we learn what the other team's going to do, game plan. Throughout the week we're going to be studying their formations, what they like to do, and then practicing that at practice every day, and then by Friday it's gonna be like muscle memory.
Game time.
Hey, Justin, playing Mike linebacker, for those of you who don't know what Mike is, middle, M for middle, Mike linebacker. So playing linebacker, being the leader of the defense, which is what typically the Mike linebacker is, what's been the hardest part of playing linebacker for you? You mentioned it a while ago, because I used to play QB, and my job was to try to give really good fakes to freeze the linebackers. What is it for you playing linebacker that's been the biggest challenge?
Well, for me personally, I think a lot of times when an offensive lineman comes off the line pretty fast, it can be hard to get off their block if they get on you. So I think I need to work on that. And then if they're really tall, it can be hard to see what's going on in the backfield and where their running back's going.
So how do you, if there's a play action, because obviously you're trying to watch everything going on in the backfield, what do you do when you see that QB put that ball in the stomach of that running back? Are you staying focused on that play until he actually does have the ball, or what are your thoughts there? What are you trying to do?
Well, Coach Adele says don't go until you know, so don't trigger until you are sure that running back has the ball.
Good. That's great.
Justin, who's really a big inspiration for you on and off the field? Who really just helps drive you to be your best every week?
I would say my dad inspires me because he works hard every day.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you, I know we got a segment Carlos going to ask you, but I know your dad's working and he's probably listening to this. Why don't you throw him a huge hello?
Hello, Dad.
Was that, David, was that big enough, man? I'm not sure.
Big thank you to Dave. He always tunes into us every week, and we really appreciate him. And, of course, great guy. I've yet to meet you, Dave. I hope to meet you at some point.
Super good guy.
Very soon. Do you have any pregame routines, Justin? Loud music, certain meal?
I like to listen to music on the bus, but once we get to the game, I just put my phone in my backpack and try and lock in, go over the game plan in my head.
You have a certain meal that you have to eat every day, like Chick-fil-A?
Not really.
Okay. What do you do for fun outside of football? I know football's fun, but there's other things.
So I like to play basketball with my friends and also wrestle for the school.
That's right. I remember seeing something like that. If you could play any other position than linebacker.
Not kicker.
Not. Is there another position you'd play?
I would say safety because then I could hit harder.
Hey.
Man, did play safety, coach?
We've done good. We haven't had a kicker since the first show. If you could play any other sport, what would it be and why?
I would say, I think basketball would be pretty fun, but I'm not very good at it. So
it's all good though. Favorite kind of food or drink that you just live for?
I like a good burger.
Good burger every now and then,
or a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
There you go.
That's the right answer.
That's the right answer right there. Favorite kind of music?
I listen to everything, but I think my favorite would be country music.
I mean, hey, I'm not wearing my K-Sam shirt. We got it right here, though. Got it right there, though. You listen to us at all? It's okay.
Sometimes.
Okay, good stuff.
Good answer.
Good stuff. It's a very good answer. All right. Back to the most scrutinized question here, and the defense is kind of 0 for 4 right now. What do you like most about school?
I like German class, Mr. Bumbaugh, the best teacher.
German?
Is that what he said?
German?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What other classes do you like? I mean, obviously, you must like them all because you've been making straight A's since you were a freshman. So what's another class you like?
I like Spanish, too.
Spanish? So the languages.
Yes, sir.
Languages are the good one. We're 1 for 5. There we go. That's the way to go about it. Thanks, Justin. Plans for after high school in your career? This is your senior year, obviously your last go at it. Do you plan to play at the next level?
Well, if I could, that would be nice. But if not, then I'm going to go to A&M and be a civil engineer.
Civil engineer. All right, there you go. That's good stuff right there. I'm a Sam grad, so I'm trying to not lose my mind right now. But, anybody you want to give a shout-out to before we let you go tonight?
I'll give a shout-out to my mom and my dad who's watching, Thomas Knapp, JT, J-Bug, Hager.
That's all?
Yes.
All right, there you go. There you have it. Linebacker Justin Angstad, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us tonight, Justin.
Good job, Justin.
All right. When we come back, as we always do, we have a moment with a member of the Huntsville Hornet Quarterback Club. And once again, it'll be Miss Casey Kroll joining us. So stick around, folks, here on the Hornet Nation Coaches Show, live tonight in Chick-fil-A in Huntsville.
This is Cicely again with Hartfield Florist. In business for over 50 years, at Hartfield's we strive to meet all your floral needs every day. From birthdays and anniversaries to weddings and other special occasions, we can bring your vision to life and customize your unique request. Give us a call at 295-5448 or visit us online at HuntsvilleHartfieldFlorist.com. The Pierce family and everyone at Hartfield's wants to say thank you for allowing us to personalize your events just like we've been doing since 1957.
Hi, I'm Karen Denman, Senior Loan Officer at Walker County Federal Credit Union. There are always things we'd all like to do right now if we just had a way to do them. Well, our low loan rates can help make your life easier. Maybe you'd like to take a vacation, buy that bike you've been eyeing, or even pay for a wedding or college. We will do our best to help you make it happen. Give us a call or come by our office on Normal Park Drive. You can even apply online at walkercountyfcu.com. Walker County Federal Credit Union, member NCUA.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, final segment. Ready to get underway here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us tonight in Chick-fil-A here in Huntsville. With us is a member of the Huntsville Hornet Quarterback Club, the president of the Huntsville Hornet Quarterback Club, Ms. Casey Kroll. Y'all give her a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Casey, thank you for always joining us. All right, as I always ask you, what you got on tap for Hornet Nation?
Let's see. We did really well last night at the junior high games. All parents, community, come and watch. Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, we have football games going on at the high school. We have Hornet flags for sale, koozies, T-shirts. All the proceeds go back into the quarterback club, which help out with the football team.
Right. And a special thing for us tonight for those that are in-house, so that's why you got to come here to the show if you want to get on it. We have our door prize box. I already see a couple of slips in there. If you want to fill it out, we will make a drawing towards the end of the season, and you get one of those nice Hornet flags right there. And if you do have a Hornet flag, remember, fly the flag on Fridays as we get ready for the Clear Springs game and every game following.
And if you're flying your flag, take a picture, post it on Facebook, on Huntsville Hornet Football, so we know who's supporting us and flying our flag. And it's not just for the football team. We have the volleyball teams going on, tennis. The band will be here at Chick-fil-A tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. And we just have a whole lot of support for our students all over our school district. So we want to see the flags flown for everybody.
And Casey, as I always ask for someone who may be tuning in for the first time, just, what can people do to get involved with you guys?
Anybody can come to our meetings Monday night, 6 o'clock at the Huntsville Field House. Join us, hear what we're doing, give us input. You might have some ideas we haven't thought about. Everyone's welcome.
All right. Casey, we're oddly enough running short on time tonight, but thank you for coming on with us here this evening. But I'll let you sit there for a moment as we just quickly get ready for the game on Friday. Brian, just let's break it down really, really fast. What do you expect to see out of this ballgame? What do the Hornets need to do to pick up a win?
Well, just kind of reiterating what Coach Rodney Southern was talking about, just consistency. Just be consistent offensively, in all assets of the game. And obviously they've been working on that, had a great week of practice. And I'm excited for Friday. I think it's going to be a great night for the Hornets.
It's absolutely going to be a great ball game. It is. We will get underway with the game. 7 o'clock kickoff, 6:30 pregame. Folks, I do have the unfortunate duty of announcing that we cannot provide a video broadcast to you guys on Friday due to a contractual obligation that Clear Springs has with another entity. So we cannot bring video to you, but we will still be there. We'll have a YouTube stream for you to check out. You can listen in on the FM airwaves. You can listen on our website at ksam1017.com. So come on. If you want to make the 2-hour drive, be my guest. Let's go cheer on the Hornets, will them to a big win to get to 2-2 on the season. Again, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock. Myself, Brian Adams, and sideline reporter Luke Scott will be there as well. So that is going to do it for us tonight. Big thank you to everyone making this possible this evening. My man Jordan Smith here running the board for me tonight, as he always does. Luke Scott back running the big board at the studio, and to all of our guests and head coach Rodney Southern, and to my main man here, Brian Adams. Thank you all for joining us here this evening. And before we go, as we always do, we got to let the people down in League City know who we are. So on the count of 3, let's give them a big 1, 2, 3. Sing 'em Hornets. 1, 2, 3.
Sing 'em
Hornets.
Thank y'all for joining us. We'll see y'all next week. Good night and God bless from Chick-fil-A in Huntsville.
This has been the Huntsville Hornets Coaches Show with head coach Rodney Southern. Brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Hornet pride lives on KSAM.